So let's start digging into a bit of the science behind in motion warriors and why we do what we do. So I just want to preface this with, in essence, this in my mind is a reconnaissance mission where we are going to really go in and explore and discover how our bodies work, how our minds work, and how our spirits work in order to bring back the information in order to process it. And with that being said, remembering that this is a process, all of this is a practice, a process to prepare us for, to train us. This is in warrior training, you could call it, in order to be ready for battle, be ready for living life abundantly and not just defensively, and not offensively. So we're not fighting and we're not flighting, but that we can stand firm, rooted and grounded and ready to battle in a way that is progressive and positive in nature. And so that being said, as a reconnaissance mission, and that's about obtaining information about ourselves, about our nature, and about nature, about how we were designed to thrive, and learning how to use those tools and what tools we've been equipped with that we may not have ever learned. And part of those tools that we've never learned about are the internals of our body and the workings of our mind. And so I want to explain, there's been a lot of research now and science to back up a lot of it. And just to kind of succinctly mention these things is, you may already have heard this over and over: what you think about, you bring about. And I love what Dr. Caroline Leaf, a neuroscientist who's very cutting edge and is very familiar with quantum physics as well, but that our belief systems are based on the quality of thinking that determines quality of the brain's architecture and is resultant quality of mental and physical health. So what that's saying is the quality of our thinking determines the quality of our brain structure. Literally, the positive they are finding through lots of MRIs and tests and stuff like that, that the more positive thinking that people are, they literally build neurons. They literally build new pathways to thinking and being, and that then has a qualitative effect on their mental and physical health. And so what we believe affects how we think and what we do, and therefore impacts our health. So that being said, there are two nervous systems always at work. It's our parasympathetic nervous system and our sympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic is actually our relax, rest, chill, all is good with the world, and it affects our voice, our lungs, our heart rates, our gut mechanisms and its workings, and as well as accessory hormonal glandular, so our spleen, our pancreas, our pituitary glands, our thyroid, and excretory waste systems, our liver, our guts, our kidneys, those kinds of things. And they are all innervated by the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve comes from here, innervates our voice box area, our lungs, our heart, our gut, also, and hormonal, glandular, and excretory organs. So that being said, there's another muscle that a lot of people, I'm sure you've heard about it, but really haven't understood it as it is a muscle, but it is more like the muscle of the tongue. You can't work it out, okay, to make it stronger. And actually the tongue is the strongest muscle in the body, if you didn't know that already. So, but the psoas is the other muscle that is built much like the tongue, the muscles of the tongue, and it is not meant to be worked out. Okay, it is actually more that it is more of let me just put it this way: babies. You see them sit up, you see them, when they're 6 months old, 6 to 8 months old, they're starting to sit up and crawl and then eventually walk, run. That's the psoas. And you know what? They don't have a six-pack, right? And yet they're able to develop that muscle for running and so fighting or flighting. Let's put it that way. So that's our psoas muscle. What a lot of people, attribute, well, that's, our fight flight muscle that we can use to do those things. What people often don't realize, it's actually considered our most emotional muscle. It is very closely, it runs from the inner thighs all the way up through our hips to our diaphragms, and actually has a connection to our jaws. And so fight, flight, or bite is often said or used. So that's that muscle, and it can hold a lot of, when there is fear, fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system is engaged, and so all of those organs that are vital, actually a lot of the blood rushes away from them to the extremities. So there's and a lot of the brain is actually shut down, and just the survival things are going, right? So it's the minimal. When our sympathetic nervous system is engaged, then we're not getting that rest. We're in fight flight mode. That psoas is constricted and tightened in order to get ready to fight or flight. And actually today we're finding that more people are in the sympathetic nervous system than ever before. Shallow breathing, resting heart rates are going up, okay? And it's not just diets, not just sodium intake or clogged arteries. It's just that our sympathetic nervous system is engaged. It's stressed out, okay? It's busy. And what we have found is that vagus nerve I was talking about that innervates all those vital organs, that vagus nerve, actually 80% of its fibers are feeding back to the brain. Only 20% is going from the brain down. All of this to say, there's a lot of emotional stuff going on in our core. There's a lot of feedback going more to our brains than it is from our brains to our bodies. So if we're in stress mode a lot, our bodies are actually overtaking our minds. Okay, it is, so it's kind of like who's guiding who. And so if we're always in stress mode, our bodies are kind of dictating and are wearing out and wearing thin, and becoming dysfunctional, because it's giving so much feedback and overstressed and overstrained. And so all of this, we want to be able to start to listen, observe, orient, that we talked about, slow down, slow our breath, deepen our breath, slow our bodies, okay? Because working out hard and fast can actually cause more damage if we're not careful. Yes, it's exhilarating and stuff, but the body still interprets that as stress a lot of times. And yes, we need to prepare our body for some stress, but what I'm finding is we don't prepare our bodies for rest. We're always preparing for stress, but how often do we take the time to prepare our bodies for rest? And I'm not talking about sleep. Sleep is very functional. Rest is something beyond sleep. Yes, we need sleep, but we need to learn how to rest. We need to learn how to come back to a peaceful, planted, rooted space in order that our minds can be renewed, in order that our brains can be better fed with good news, with positive news. And I'm not talking about lying to yourself, okay? The body and brain and mind, they all know the difference between lying. But so we need to replace some of those lies with truths that we begin to truly believe, and we need to listen to our bodies that are crying out with dis-ease, disease, pain, dysfunction, and give it some rest. And there's a way of working from rest, and that is what I want to bring. There's a way of practicing that this becomes a process, not a destination, okay? That we're trying to get six-pack abs or we're trying to lose weight. What I have found in my own experience and with others is that when we work out in a way that our bodies were designed to, and when we are cognizant and thoughtful about our working out and the ways that we work out and the ways that we move therapeutically and functionally, our body's stress will reduce, our mind's pressure and strain will reduce, and then our bodies will follow suit. So we could actually say our bodies are a result of our minds and our spirits, really. And we work on our bodies and we work on our bodies, but we often negate the mind and the spirit and wonder why there's a disconnect and wonder why we're not getting the results that we want. So let's reduce that stress and let's reduce that inflammation and let's get the body therapeutically functioning and moving again, and we will find that the rest kind of falls in place. I call it falling apart to fall together, and it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. But when we deny it, when we suppress it, when we avoid it, or when we fight, or we flight, or we even freeze, that all gets stored in our bodies until we deal with it. And so that's what we're doing. We're going on a reconnaissance mission in order to gather up that information. And then we're going to go through some training, in motion warrior training, where we're focused on the process more than the destination, so that we can be prepared for life, to handle it better, okay? To release stressors, to release emotions, to feel them and heal. That's my goal here. So I hope that that helped explain. A lot of what we'll be using is the practices that Peter Levine, David Berchelli, and Stephen Porges have done research on. And if you would like to research those, absolutely do. But this way, we're engaging the whole body, mind, and spirit to reintegrate it, reconnect them all in order to feel, to heal. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing with you, and would love for any feedback if you have any that helps us improve this. And I really want to teach you also how to handle life's stressors in the moment, and that's what we do. We practice in order to be prepared, aware and prepared, so that we're not living scared and stressed out and too busy and too avoidant, because it all catches up with us. If we don't deal with it now, we will deal with it. Our bodies will have disease and disorder and dysfunction if we're not dealing with the emotional and the spiritual aspects of our wholeness and our health. So I look forward to this journey with you. Have a blessed day.